What's up guys, Loops here. I have not been uploading a lot recently, so I'd like to apologize for that. I've just kind of been out for the summer, but I'm back now and getting back into it. I'm a little bit rusty in building, so I'm a little bit slower than usual, and I make some more mistakes here and there, but I'll be back on it by the next video. But without further ado, here's the malice. Alright, let's get right into this build. So to start off, we're going to build ourselves a circle here. And off of it, we're going to do two squares on either side and put triangles in those. And then a triangle pointing off each side of the circle to make it into like almost a diamond shape, but not quite. Then honeycomb the outside of the squares with these little three triangle bulbs here. This is a strategy I use a lot for exposed squares because having exposed squares is never good. We're going to put our TC in a lowered element of the center, which make sure to do that. I mentioned that at the beginning. But lower a little bit of the center here and drop the TC in there, and then door it off. Make sure it's well separated from everything else, so at least two doors here. And above the TC is going to be our jump crouch up. And then here's going to be our access door. And then in this room we can put in plenty of bags. And we can also put in a workbench. This is normally where you'd put in like your level 2 if you're at a level 3, or your level 1 if you're at a level 2, just as like an extra spot so you don't have to run all the way up to the loot room to craft stuff and just like craft stuff on the fly. I like to have extra workbenches, research tables, and everything else around the base. And then put roofs on that. And we will put a garage door here to keep the main room safe and separated. Now we're going to start working our way out with the front door to start, and make a two-way airlock so the airlock goes either way. And we're going to have a kind of circle hallway running around the core. I like to do that on a lot of bases of a lot of different sizes, because it takes up a lot of space that you wouldn't normally use and gives you a lot of extra utility without taking away so much durability in a raid. And then we're just going to start honeycombing up the outside after we put doors on, of course. So yeah, just honeycomb up all the outer triangle sections. But not the inner triangle sections, because we are going to have a hallway running through with our garage doors, a circular garage door hallway. And then we're going to separate the lookouts here, the metal shot fronts that we use to look out. We're going to separate them with garage doors, just so people can't really tell which way is the right way, so just make them identical. And then circle this off with garage doors. And then in this hallway, we're going to put in various things like beds, because it's just extra space, as well as maybe an extra furnace or two, and some extra repair benches and research tables, and just big unsightly objects that take up a lot of space that we could, don't really need to protect so well, that we can just kind of keep out here, because they take up space elsewhere. And it's always good to have an extra of everything on the first floor. We can also put a majority of our furnaces in this outer ring and all the different airlocks, because there's lots and lots of space, and furnaces need lots and lots of space if you're going to use a lot of them, like you would need to if you're building a metal base of this capacity. So yeah, just a couple more furnaces in here, kind of through the corner, and just kind of throw them wherever we can, just so we get little base furnaces going. And from here we can start to build up the floor to the second. And we're also going to have a ladder hatch here. You may be asking why we're doing that, because, you know, of the jump crouch in the middle. But we have the ladder hatch because the second and third floor will not be attached. The first floor will lead directly into the third, and the first floor will also lead directly into the second, but the second and third will not be attached to keep our loot room separated from the shooting floor. We don't need a door from our loot room to the shooting floor, so it's best to keep them separated out like this. It may be inconvenient, but in the long run, the few seconds it takes you to go around is going to save you, well, it might just save you in a raid. And then honeycomb up the second floor, obviously a lot, because this is going to be main loot. So in here, we are going to separate these out. Continue up with the jump couch and just make it like an upward shaft, like kind of act like it's not even here. And then obviously I made that on the wrong side, if you can't already tell. I kind of fucked that up a little bit, but I'll fix that in a minute here once I realize it. And then just put roofs around the outside here. In survival building, and, you know, not obviously build server, but in an actual server, I always recommend getting the roof on before you build the interior of a floor, because it makes it a lot safer to work. Working conditions up on the roof of a base, since laddering and twig and all that exists, people kind of overestimate their chances of surviving just because they're on a roof. But when you're building, you are a huge target to anyone who sees you building. So it's always a good idea to just try to like build the outside before you build the inside, because you're going to be a lot safer in the long run. And people will also overestimate how much it'll take to raid you. If you build like a big outer shell and nothing in it, people will think that there's stuff in it. People don't always assume it's just empty. So you can keep yourself safe by appearing bigger than you actually are when you're trying to build your base. And people will overestimate what it takes to raid you, so they may not try quite so early. So right here we're going to put some boxes in, just, you know, a little extra space, trying to make use of a square and not use it completely as an airlock. So this is kind of like general clothing, or very basically that you wouldn't use a lot of. That's the majority of what you would want to store in this area. And then we're going to start segmenting off our different loot rooms. So it's always important to box these off separately and not have them attached in any way. And I like to use full squares instead of triangles, so if people blow in through either the top or bottom, they only get access to half the loot room. So the only way to get access to the full loot room would be blowing it through a side. So doing that just kind of keeps them even safer and makes a little extra layer of defense, and makes it a little bit more annoying for anyone who might be raiding top down or bottom up. So doing that again over on this side. And then over here is going to be our general utility room, so we just have a bunch of stuff that you might need, and make it like kind of a comfortable hangout area too. But this is where our main crafting is going to be, research, repairs, all that. And we're also going to shove a couple of bags in here for some of the more important members of your group who might need immediate access to the loot room once they die. And by that, I mean, like, you know, the power-thirsty kid who's losing all the AKs and says that he swears it's his, you know, shitty Wi-Fi, when in reality he can't 2-tap for shit. So we have our loot rooms done over here, and we're kind of shoving in the extra bags, maybe a bit of a rug to make it feel at home, and this room's just about done, so we can move on now. Now we get to the first of our shooting floors, and when I say shooting floors, that has an S. There's many. There's 3 normal floors and 4 shooting floors. And if you watch my videos, you know that's how I like to build my bases. I like big bases that have a lot of defense, and that's exactly what this is. But this does have a big amount of doors because obviously we want to have our way down very separated from the shooting floor because, well, obviously. Over here we are going to put some roofs on, and then we can get working on the actual windows themselves. So this floor is going to have windows on all of those little bulbs of honeycomb, and the two-piece triangles and the inner triangles are all going to have bunker windows on them. I don't know why I love bunker windows so much, I just kind of do, and you see them on a lot of my builds, but I kind of just think they're really useful. Like, from what I've used of them, they work, and that's why I use them. They consistently work, they're tried and tested, and I just love building them. Alright, I also used some garage doors to segment off the windows just to make it a little harder to raid when you're offline, just so you can kind of close up and segment off. Segmentation is a great way to keep your base alive through, getting offline, because if you can segment enough, people will eventually give up if you have enough segments. So it's all about just segmenting. Alright, so then we're going to window up our windows and kind of just top off the shooting floor. And then I decided last minute to cut out the outermost windows and replace them with shutters. I'm not really sure why, I kind of just aesthetically like this. And now we're just going to kind of use half walls to separate our different areas of overhang. And then right here we're going to add our doors. That door's actually backwards from how the other ones are going to be, so I will switch that in a minute. And then just put doors on all of them, because yeah. And then I'm going to half wall this off. So why I did that was because when you have overhangs all the way around the floor, it makes the floor above it kind of useless for just about anything else in terms of defense, because you can't see over the overhangs. So when I build a ring of overhangs like this, I like to extend the floor that they're on 1.5 tall, so the next floor that you do build can see over them and is still of some use. And then obviously I'm a dumbass, and like I said, I've been out of building for a while. So what's it called? I forgot a way up. I forgot a staircase up. So I built these little double staircases double half jumps in the doorways. They aren't the most useful thing ever, but they're kind of what I had to do to keep it both symmetrical and functional. So I just did what I had to do. And then I actually ended up removing these because I thought the look of having a shop front here would be kind of cool. Just so you could kind of like observe your shooting floors as as you were getting raided to see if anyone was like camping them. So I kind of just thought that would be a cool look to have. And then I just walled off the middle because I don't want people being able to see all the way through. And then I kind of just put this half floor to waste because there's nothing I can do with a half high floor. So I just kind of skipped over it and filled it in with honeycomb. Obviously there's nothing that bad about vertical honeycomb. It's useful to everyone. So it kind of just serves its function as a vertical honeycomb layer. And then I floated up above it because why not? You always need something to walk on, so why not floors? And then on this floor, I really only did the overhangs on half because the floor prior had overhangs, and I really just wasn't feeling having them, so I figured nothing like more. So for this floor, I did a lot of little overhang shooting windows. This was mostly just meant to offset the angle of the roleplay roofs, because if those were not overhangs, you wouldn't be able to see over the roleplay roofs in a downward direction as well. So that was the thought behind having those overhang instead of just flush with the wall. And I just slapped the front door on real quick because I thought I forgot it. and barred up all the windows. So for this floor, I put some half slants in because I figured this floor would be used to fight heli a lot, and I love using the half slants, or not half slants, the horizontal embrasures for fighting heli, because they just work so much better than vertical in terms of finding it, and they stop its bullets pretty well because of how it's laid out. So I just like using those for fighting heli. That's just my take on it. And then I put garage doors in the end. Obviously, you could use normal doors, but I like garage doors because of the way you can open them all the way up. And inside becomes one with outside, and it kind of just all flows into each other. And then I just kind of made some, airlocks through here to keep, anyone reading through the roof out. But these I end up going back on, and I changed these into a bigger, opener room, so I could look out and see anyone who's standing on the roof, as well as any helis flying around the base. So this all gets changed out in a moment here, just to fit a more, well, it looks better, and I think it's kind of actually functional, so that's why I changed it out. But I did not change it out until way later. But before I change that out, I run through here, and I set up some castle style roof with half walls and low walls, just for a general defense and downward shooting and just general roof access. I think these are pretty functional. So on the outsides I have high walls, on the insides, or on the outsides I have half walls, on the insides I have half walls, and in between I have the low walls, but mostly half walls because those are better for not getting shot. So yeah, right here I kind of decided to take out the sides so you can see around a bit better. And then right here I start on the helipad slash top roof. But this area I did leave open. It's not like a dedicated helipad, but I wanted it to be an area where you could land a helicopter if you needed to. But that obviously brings into question other people landing helicopters on your roof. And for that, I didn't set up some elaborate an elaborate SAM site. I kind of just wanted to set up some auto turrets and just have it be like casual. So it's mostly just defended by auto turrets and not any SAM site setups. It's less keeping them from flying around your base and mostly just keeping them from landing on it, because that's what will really matter in the long run. The close range stuff, you don't really need to be taking them out just because they're in your area. Or maybe you want to, but that's another base. So I just kind of circled around with this, and then ended up cutting the sides out just to make it look a little bit nicer and add a little bit of anti-sniper functionality up here. So I just took those out and put in some roleplay roofs. And that's about it for this base. Thank you guys very much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one. Oh wait, I'm not doing the outro yet. I'm fucking stupid. I forgot that I built the compound around this. I did that outro way early, but I guess I'll keep narrating. I'm kind of getting lazy here. So now to build the compound. I completely forgot that I did the compound on this. I'm getting tired. Trying to quit early here, but no, I still got the compound in right. So I'm going to, well, initially I was thinking about putting the gate on this side, but then I realized the gate would open up to a sheer cliff. So I decided to do the gate around the other side of the base and just kind of have you like circle around the back to get in. So I kind of like it in terms of if someone takes down your gate with C4 or a rocket or something from a raid base, they can't actually door camp you from the raid base. So just kind of playing with walls here to get them to fit around. And then I just kind of circled around with some TCs for cover. So I spammed the fuck out of the TCs, and there's lots and lots of TCs all around the space to keep it very private and to keep the land very marked off. And these TCs are just kind of conceptual. You don't actually have to put anything in them. Well, you do in an actual game, but I didn't put anything in them because obviously I don't need to because it's a build server. And it's just kind of like, these are kind of like what it would look like. It's mostly for the intro and for the cinematic. But I figured this is a base, since it's so tall, you would want to mark off a big area so you have a lot of area to cover, because it's based that can cover a lot of area in terms of shooting floors and range. So after this, there was one real thing that I just wanted to do, and that was to put in some traps. So I decided to get some auto turrets and circle them on the inside and outside the compound, and that's the last thing I did here. So I put them on all the inner TC, or on top of all the inner TCs, and I used kind of like the elevation of the TC to give them a little bit more range. I always like doing that instead of having them just sitting on the ground. I think they work a little bit better sitting on top of something. They're a bit harder to hide from too, so this is to just keep people even further away from the area. These would likely be Peacekeeper, but I just didn't set them to that because why would I? And the inner ones could be like kill on sight, but I think Peacekeeper is always better for outside unless you have a lot of bullets and a lot of time to change them out constantly. So yeah, I just kind of surrounded the inside with auto turrets as well, just to make it a little bit harder to raid. Just foundations attached and auto turrets on them. So when you're doing the gate and you're walking around, these kind of just catch you by surprise. And then right next to the entrance, I put this little box holder in. That's about all I do for this base. So now that I have less than a minute left, I guess I'll start the outro. Thank you guys for watching, and after I finish building this little box holder, I will see all of you in the next one.